Hey there, friends. We're back with part 2 of FloridaMan40k rules discussion. We have the same suspects, Jimmy the Man Prescott.
That's a me.
John, I won't make the same joke I always do about his name, Lennon.
Aw, thanks.
And special guest coming back to deal with our crap again, William Taylor.
I'm special.
And of course, your least favorite, me, Daniel Smith.
Ooh.
So sorry.
Good.
That's my goal. Let's do this, boys.
Oh, man.
All right.
so-
I think we were like in between shooting and combat, like the general combat mechanics that have changed work for both.
Yeah, I believe Will was making the joke that we're going to charge right in. So let's charge right in.
Do it.
Charge it up, boys. Let's charge this.
Okay, enough with the charging. So
I don't know, this seems like a pretty charged topic.
charged yeah.
Ah.
Okay. Anyways.
Be careful, guys. Will's gonna assault you.
Oh my god. Anyways, charging
Don't
is
charge him with a
relatively
salt
the
battery.
Alright, I'm muting myself.
Man, I can shoot these off.
I suck.
Come on, Will, you gotta talk. We're in charge of this part.
That was fantastic. Anyways, charging seems relatively the same. It's still a 2d6, charge distance into things. The only difference is when you declare something, like if you declare multiple units, the charge distance has to get you engaged with all the units that you declared. If not, then it is a failed charge. There's that.
Yeah, so its charge phase is the same for a Tau player who never declares charge, but for all of us other players, that's a huge change. Lennon, if you want to dive into that since you played Healer, Cult, and Tyranids the most.
Oh
And
yeah,
just play the most in general.
this one's big, and this alone literally makes you want to play Sisters. It's Miracle Dice Sploosh. But so the fact that you have to engage every unit you charge removes a ton of the shenanigans with fighting twice and with like clearing screens. It's removed a lot of jank and the feels bads from, again, the same thing as before. Removes jank and feels bad from charging and the fight phase. And instead, you have to be a lot more careful and kind of measured with how you're doing this. Like, gone are the days where that stupid Blood Angel captain with a relic jump pack is going to be like, well, I'm just going to charge everyone within 12 inches. Let's dance.
Declare everything in 12 inches. Man, if I had $1 for every time I heard that, I'd be 100.
Yeah, like the second I passed my no Overwatch spell, I was like, oh. So yeah, Overwatch, by the way, cough. It's a big deal. So you only charge units that you're realistically going to get to. And keep in mind, you're going to fail a close charge if you also declare a long one. So if you've got 8 inches away from a Lehman Russ and 2 inches away from Guardsman, you declare that Lehman Russ and you roll a 6, you just failed the whole charge. You don't get the Guardsman anymore. So there's going to be a lot more short charge, and reliable charges are a lot bigger because you can't multi-declare to get around it. So like charge bonuses, like Gene Circle can get +2 to charge. That's a much bigger deal. Reroll failed charges, also a very big deal.
Hive Fleet Behemoth, right? Don't they have the reroll charges automatic ability?
A lot of things already have reroll charges built in. Anything that has that kind of rule, it's a big deal. It's a lot easier to fail the charge than it was before. And it also makes screening in combat a lot more effective because they have to literally end an engagement range. If you take Ragnar and you wrap him in Guardsman, then nothing is charging him unless they kill the Guardsman in a previous phase. Big deal. So I would say, it's very interesting how this is going to change things because combat screening is a lot more effective. However, really it's just, I'm going to get into heroic in a second. I'm going to kind of rein in my excitement because I love heroic interventions.
Before
we get there, you basically are just going to be very careful with how you declare charges. You're only going to declare the safe things, and it's going to be very risky to declare far charges because you'll lose everything else if you fail that. That is going to make Sisters of Battle an extremely reliable army because I can declare everything within 10 inches, and then I just choose a 10 as my result, and I'm in. And I just have to put a model in range of everything that I declared as a target, and we are good and golden. It's all fun and games.
Another coherency too. Just the coherency, because you still need to stay.
Is a problem, yeah.
Oh. Well, it might be
another important factor with that, and then I'll let you go, Jim. Sorry, is charging into castles is going to be way harder because you can't declare anything on the inside of the castle. Because if you're screened properly, you physically cannot tag that unit until you've fought and then consolidated. Where before, then you just use a fight twice stratagem, no big deal. Now you can't. So that makes castling a lot stronger, and Games Workshop is already kind of pushing that way with the coherency changes. So expect to see durable castles that are incredibly difficult to charge into and actually break up. So yeah, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I think the question was pretty much answered, but might as well. So my thought was, originally when I'd heard this rule, you have the example with the 2-inch Guardsman and the 8-inch Layman Russ, that if you roll the 8 inches that you need, you could have the whole like, oh, okay, well, I don't actually have to get near the Guardsman thing. But now you actually have to get within engagement range of everything that you declare to charge on, even though there are other goals that you had.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's one easy step at this point anyway, because the whole reason you do that before is just in case. But now there is no more just in case. Like you've got to choose what you're charging, you got to charge it.
Then the other part of the charge phase is Overwatch. You know that Overwatch is a little bit changed too. As a Tau player,
Overwatch has changed.
Everybody else.
Well, Tau players still get it, but screw those guys. Yeah. Everyone else had changed. I'm not going to let the Tau player talk about Overwatch because I hate them. So I'm going to do it. Yeah, that's right. You can't just fire Overwatch for free. It's 1 command point to Overwatch unless you have a specific rule that lets you do so. If you have those rules, and I imagine that's going to be a lot of like day 1 FAQ stuff, they have already specified that Tau are going to specifically get to fire Overwatch without the stratagem. But normally, 1 command point when a unit's charged, it gets to fire Overwatch. That means a couple things. 1, you can only fire Overwatch once, the stratagem limit. So let's say they've got that super devastating 6 Centurions next to a Chapter Master. Whatever charges that is frickin' toast. You charge 5 Scouts in. They can spend that command point, just pick up the Scouts they're gone. Then you charge in your Sanguinary Guard. Well, they've already used the stratagem. They can't fire Overwatch a second time. Boom, Sanguinary Guard go in. You're good and golden. Or they just decide, you know what, I'm not going to waste the command point just to kill these 5 Scouts. The Scouts go in, then the Sanguinary Guard go in. You still get to have your fun and, eat your cake. So a lot of changes to that. Overwatch, it's still important on the big units that get to do it. And I'm sure that they will introduce mechanics that let you do it more. Right now, Tau is the only one we know. But it's a big deal because it's a big part of this is speeding up the game. We haven't actually talked about the new table size, but we talked about that in previous episodes.
Oh,
so
yeah, we'll get to it.
Talk about it now. Every time you charge the Guardsman squad, and they're like, hold on, let me see how many flashlights are in rapid fire range. All right, 5 shots. 1 hit, 0 wounds. Great, all right, I'm going to roll the charge. I have to throw a frag grenade. Oh, great, 4 shots, 0 hits. Fantastic. I disrupted the pace of the game. It was never impactful. Overwatch either murdered you or you were wasting time rolling it. Or it's like, man, you know what? Maybe I'll get really lucky and this Overwatch is going to kill 1 model. That was the worst case scenario. Was like, all right, I'm charging my acolytes in. Maybe they kill 1 model with bolt guns. Maybe they kill 0. We'll find out in a second. No big deal either way.
Yeah, they made it a stratagem just to speed up the time. Real quick in regards to Tau Overwatch and it not changing, only things that have for the greater good can Overwatch. Means
okay, so
Tau tanks do not have the greater good. So just something to consider.
Okay. So, all right, so not everything, just only the Tau units that are actually taken in game get it. Not all Tau units.
mean, I'm
So
thinking
the
about
stuff that we
bringing
never
piranhas
tried
back.
using in the game, it still doesn't get it. God
Yeah,
bless
thinking
those
about
piranhas.
Hey, dude, piranhas. They're making a comeback. But anyways, so that's the charge phase. Other than, I guess, after the charge phase, there's heroically intervening before we get into a fight phase.
Yes. So you can heroic interventions got like logical nerfs, but it's okay. So you cannot heroically intervene if you are already in combat, and that makes sense. Like your opponent literally is charging you. You're not just like, oh, I'm a hero, let me charge you. It's like, whoa, we just charged you. Like, oh, I'm still doing it. Because like people would charge a character, and then it'd be like, you didn't base me. 3 inches of movement. I'm now on the side of your unit. You get less attacks. I tagged something else in combat. I blocked whatever consolidate pile in tricks you had. No longer a thing. So no more free movement if you're not charged. If you are not charged and you heroically intervene, you now can be targeted for attacks by charging units.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Big deal. So, because like you were no longer you were really no longer declaring charges on like characters because they're behind the screen and they're farther away. It's 6 inches to charge a guardsman squad. It's 8 inches to charge whatever is behind that. So it is a big deal. Like you weren't going to take those risks because again, if you fail one charge, you fail all the charges. Now, not really a concern. It's going to be big because that prevents heroic interventions from just being like free swings at all times that you never got to deal with. Now, like, okay, if you make that choice, like, just we're doing this both ways. Just be aware of that.
Yeah, it's a little bit more riskier, and I like that. That's kind of cool.
I think it's a good change. Like, I really do think that one's a good one.
Yeah.
Overall, pleased.
Also,
yeah,
one last thing about
some of the stuff I like to abuse, but I still get.
Yeah.
I still get how that is a good change for the game.
one like edge case, but it may happen for the game is heroic interventions and fires or the aircraft.
Oh yeah.
If you have an aircraft that's closer to the character, and the character does not have fly, the character ignores the aircraft for heroic intervention purposes, so it won't move towards the aircraft. It'll move towards whatever it is. If it has fly, then the aircraft is then considered for heroic intervention. So if it's closer, you can move them in the base and take out the flyer.
Another good change. Like I've definitely heroic intervention to Patriarch off of an Eldar flyer, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just getting in combat with you." And they're like, "Well, you can't swing on me." I'm like, "I know."
Extra
Just
movement.
3 inches. I'm gonna pile in 3 inches. Now I'm gonna consolidate 3 inches. Now I'm gonna move. I'm like, oh man, yeah, you just got like 9 inches of free movement there, and that's not really what GW had in mind. So they have fixed again another perhaps abusive edge case that didn't come up that often, but good players did exploit. Now the skill emphasis is going to be on positioning.
All right, and I think that's everything for charging. So let's fight.
I actually am going to talk a little bit about how heroic, while we get into fight, about how not heroicing with characters is going to be a big change. Previously, you've been able to abuse pile-in consolidates to engage new units, or to leave combat with new units. So, like, let's say you've got a tank commander and 10 guardsmen right next to each other. I have to charge both. I have to end an engagement range of both. Let's say, for example, I didn't want to end up engaging the tank commander, but I wanted to, like, swing on it. I can put myself within an inch of both, but closer to the guardsman, make my attacks, and then consolidate closer to the guardsman, and with that move just so happen to be outside of an inch of the tank commander. Previously, you would use this to, like, you normally use this on, like, scary close combat units. Like, if there was a rhino next to a possessed unit, you would use that to hit the corner of the possessed, make a couple cheeky attacks, and then go close to the rhino and get out of combat. But, like, if they had a heroic intervention, they would just immediately move and base you to stop you from swinging around. Now they can't do that. So there will be more room to abuse pile-in consolidates because characters will not just be shutting down everything that gets near them and stopping their movement.
I see what you mean.
So niche edge case, yes, but that was a rule I liked to abuse, and good players knew how to counter me with heroic interventions, and that has been removed. So now there'll be more play for clever movement there. So I know a lot of this is like removing abusive edge cases sounds like it removes skill from the game. It reallocates skill. There is still room for a good player with knowledge of the game to make some clever plays that people will not see coming.
Right. Do you want to fight about it?
All right. Yes. Now let's fight about it.
So that's pretty much the same as far as the way that it goes. There are a few changes.
Well, the hit modifiers are still present.
I mean, we can talk about the hit modifier thing because that does it from shooting to combat, and I think it's pretty well known now. You can only ever get +1 or -1 to hit. If you do have a bunch of stacks in one or the other, it's maximum +1 or -1 to hit. Same thing goes for wounding as well. So you're not getting these amazing Mark Parry combos where you have +4 to wound and you do mortals on 7-ups and you just delete units. It's +1, just +1. That's all you get.
Yeah, and that's another good for the game change because they did like Aliatok Eldar, where suddenly all right, the flyer's -1 to hit. Oh, but it's Aliatok. Oh, but it's lightning fast reflex. Suddenly it's -3 to hit, and the guard army no longer interacts with it.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, capping the modifiers, this has kind of made it a moot point, but a 6 always hits, a 6 always wins.
And a 1 always misses, and a 1 always fails.
Yes. An unmodified.
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, unmodified.
Unmodified 6 always hits. An unmodified 1 always misses. So good changes. Again, I am very glad that they implemented that kind of change. It's definitely for the best, in my opinion. That affects shooting and close combat, so it is a big deal.
A few weird cases for this? Like, isn't there, Dan, this involves you, isn't there a buggy that gets innately +2 to hit?
Yes, I own 9 of them, actually. It's one of the Orc vehicles. So I think, yeah, so until and unless they specifically, how they've always done it is new rule overtakes old rule, codex over basic rulebook. They might just FAQ it to say codex over rulebook, you get ballistic skill 3 for XYZ. Or maybe you get the +2 modifier but cannot be further modified. Something like that. But yeah, right now, rules as written, the new rule will override that and make those Orc buggies just less accurate.
Right.
But that's a corner case.
So there's a few others that are you hit on X instead of you get +1 or -1 to hit. Obviously, this is going too far away from combat, but there are some things to consider when it comes to shooting and fighting in close combat, and modifiers. So, as far as actually swinging close combat, it's different now. Is that right?
With there's been a couple of changes for how you swing and allocate in close combat. So if you have a save allocated to you, you are then taking saves on that model for the rest of the phase. For example, let's use crisis suits. Crisis suits bombs more recently with Parts2 place. They traditionally would have one model with a 2-up save, and that model had a relic warrior thing that gave it ignore AP 1, ignore AP 2.
For shooting.
Very strong, very powerful. Understand why they have it. That model stands in front and also has a 4-up emblem from a shield generator, and it takes all the incoming fire that you don't want to put on drones. So now let's say I start shooting at this crisis unit. In 9th edition, I just shoot that crisis unit with a bunch of bolt rifles that are AP 1. And I get 6 wounds through. And I don't want to pass 6 damage 1 wounds onto the drones, so I'll lose 4 drones. Let me just take this on the front crisis suit, who has a 2-up save, it ignores my AP. And so yeah, he makes all the saves great. I now shoot you with las cannons. You start passing them off to drones. You take 5 las cannon wounds, you pass 4 of them off, you roll 1, you take 1 wound on the crisis suit unit. you don't now just say, well, I'm just going to put this on the regular guy who doesn't ignore any AP. Now you're taking that AP3 las cannon on the crisis suit that has all the stupid crap. So now if he fails that save and I roll high damage and he dies, now that unit becomes more susceptible to all of the way to fire stuff. It's like, do you want to take 3-up saves or pass to drones? You might pass to drones. Now, that's one example. Another is Bulgrin. Bulgrin would have like a 0+ save on one thing and a 3-up save, invuln save on the other models.
Yeah.
It's like if I'm firing volcano cannons at you, you're taking it on the 3-up invulns. If I'm just shooting, like, again, bolt rifles, it's AP1, you have a 1-up save, so you still goes to a 2-up save, you still pass on a 2-up. You were doing that. So I fire some small arms, you start taking 2-up armor saves, I shoot a las cannon, you now are not taking the 3-up invuln, you kill that model, and then you start allocating to a 3-up invuln model. He makes his 3-up invuln. All right, great, I'm going to shoot with all my las guns. Well, now you're taking it on a 3-up invuln, not the 2-up save. Unless a model has both. For example, a Terminator Storm Shield, then you're good. But mixed save units, if someone takes saves, doesn't lose any wounds, they're still taking saves until they die or the phase ends.
Yeah,
but then, of course, there is still the if someone's wounded, they take the first hits.
Yeah, there's going to be some clever plays in order to get around some of those beefy units. I mean, I've considered the Relic airbursting fragmentation projector as maybe not worth taking anymore, purely for this reason alone, because everybody's going to have multiple different weapons that do different things, and will shoot a las gun at this guy, and if he takes it, well, as you said, shoot a volcano cannon at him. Now he's gone. That's huge. Does that carry over into the fight phase, or is it the same thing but it like resets? Like if
the same thing but resets.
Okay, right on.
So that takes this for the rest of the phase. But again, if I shoot that guy and I do 1 wound to him, it's like, let's say I shoot all the AP dash and you're like, fine, the 2-up save guy takes it. He makes all his save. I then start shooting with like AP3 stuff. A 1 las cannon gets through all the shield drones. When I roll a 1 on damage, he has 2 wounds left. Well, now he's the wounded dude. In the fight phase, I hit you with a bunch of AP4 on my Thunderhammer.
Yeah.
So everything is now hitting that wounded guy first.
Yep.
So it's less abusive, less feels bad, probably better for the game.
Yeah, probably. Because, I mean, you've got these, I don't know how prevalent Shining Spears are going to be in the 9th edition. They're probably going to be prevalent. Exactly, that guy. That's the guy I'm thinking about.
That 2-up invuln Exarch. You put some good AP stuff in there. They start taking it on the Exarch, and then you just hit him with the Hurricane.
Yeah, I like this. I like this change. I think the change is really solid. I like it. I really do.
Yeah, great change.
But okay, so there's that, and then as far as is there anything that I'm missing in the fight phase other than the fighting itself, or is that the only thing that's left?
There is. There's a lot of actually things that we should cover with charges. For getting into engagement range, you now have to be within 1 inch horizontally and 5 inches vertically.
That's right.
Not just within an inch. That's a big deal for people in ruins.
Right.
Like if you were on the 2nd floor, you just laughed at knights that couldn't charge you, or hive tyrants, or Mortarion. Now, if you're on that 1st floor within 5 inches, that's pretty much covering the 1st floor of any ruin. You can just get charged and attacked by people below you.
I actually think that the 1st floor on ruins now is a detriment rather than a benefit. And I mean,
you want to be on the 2nd floor or bottom floor.
Well, exactly. The 1st floor is like nothing, and we can go over that more if we get to terrain. Like there is one edge case for, so I don't know how it's going to be FAQ'd, but what's the GSE strat where you can pop up within 3 inches of a unit?
So while that's adorable, it actually does not work.
Doesn't work like that.
You cannot arrive from reserves in engagement range unless you have, and you also cannot move into engagement range.
Oh, okay. I didn't see things that were stopping. I saw somebody throw it out there and say, well, oh.
Yeah, the only exception to that is the very specific within 1 inch of your table edge.
The walking
like they got so close to you that you're counterattacking. Yeah, you can't lying in wait below someone to get into engagement range. You cannot be placed in engagement range.
Okay. That makes more sense.
I thought the same thing, and they credit the play testers for once. I normally give them shit. Credit them on this one. It seems that they covered that before it became a problem.
It's good, because I didn't want to deal with that one. Yeah, that's actually the 5-inch engagement is actually such a cool and big deal, because there was nothing worse than playing against a Tau player that has 3 Riptides and they put them all on boxes or whatever, so so that your knight couldn't hurt them except for shooting. Oh, that was dumb. That was stupid. I never did that.
Oh, I watched people do it. I know Siegler put his entire army on top of the building against Don Huson's famous Disco Lord rush.
Can't do that anymore.
I mean, yeah, it was hilarious. I thought.
Another question, is this one gave my mind, because I thought that the new engagement range, or in order to swing, you have to be within half an inch. Is that not the case? Do you still whenever you roll a charge, do you still get you're already within 1 inch, like you have 1 extra inch of kind of movement? Like I'm 7 inches away, so I need to roll a 6. Is that still a thing?
So engagement range, there are 2 ways to be in engagement range.
Okay.
1, be within 1 inch of an enemy model, and 1 inch horizontally, 5 inches vertically.
Yeah.
Or be within half an inch of a friendly model within half an inch of an enemy model.
Okay.
And what's very interesting about that is that there is no verticality to that.
So the front row. Wait. So if you get an entire unit of guys 5 inches directly underneath a unit, everybody can swing.
Everyone within an inch horizontally can swing. Let's give an example here. You've got a unit, a really big base unit, like Assault Centurions. You've got 10 Fire Warriors on the 2nd floor of a ruin. You get right up to the ruin, and everyone who's underneath them and within an inch horizontally can swing, but then the Centurion in the back, who is touching his buddy, but isn't within an inch horizontally of the Fire Warriors, cannot swing. But if the Fire Warrior is on the bottom floor, he could swing. So, you cannot be both far away in the back and far away below and swing. You get one or the other. You can be a little bit below and swing. You can be a little bit behind and swing. You cannot get both.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does that kind of add up and make sense?
Yeah, kind of. I guess last question is, if you are on the 2nd floor and you've got an enemy unit directly underneath you, are they engaged? Or do they still have to make a charge roll?
So you cannot move into engagement range. So they would move to 1.1 inches away from horizontally below you.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
And then they would charge, and then, a Snake Eyes still makes it.
Right. Okay. I gotcha. Cool.
So that's how that would work. I think now that's it for charging, fighting. I think so. I think we got everything there.
One last thing, because I guess as far as fighting goes, when it comes to making close combat attacks, you can no longer use the base close combat weapon.
That's a good one to cover. Thank you. You only have the base close combat weapon if you have no other weapons. A real weapon, you are using it. Now, if you have 2 weapons, you can choose. You can choose between your chainsword and your thunderhammer, but you cannot choose between your thunderhammer and, they just kind of gave me a weapon. No one really told me what it was. Maybe it's my fist.
Maybe it's my...
So if you've got a real weapon, you're swinging with one of your weapons.
Yeah. So no longer getting your Centurions in there, and instead of obliterating the unit, kicking the shins of your opponent and then wrapping their guys.
Kicking their shins to wrap them. I would kick the shins of rhinos all the time. It's I'll kill this later. I'm not worried about this.
Yeah.
Jimmy, Dan, any thoughts on that? And does that all make sense?
Dan?
Sorry, my mic was muted. Yeah, so I like it, especially what you're touching on at the end with the close combat weapons, because it's just another thing where actively trying to get away from the stale gameplay of I charge, I'm going to sit here and do nothing. Oh, it's my turn. I'm going to do my thing. Wrap another unit, sit here, do nothing. Because there were points where in 8th edition it just wasn't interactive anymore. Like, I'm in checkmate, I've lost the game, and now we're just going through the motions for 2 hours because I have no response. But I'm not going to just concede and walk away 45 minutes in because you got to charge off, you know. But they're removing those stale interactions and giving you a lot more counterplay, and like sacrificial units now aren't a liability, they're a sacrificial unit. Like crew are a great example of, they would scout out and you're like, oh hey, I've got all this board control, and the enemy's like, thanks for the slingshot, charge, wrap, you can't shoot me, plow through them on my turn, and now I'm charging you again, or on the end of your turn, whatever.
It has been so many years. I hate to interject, but it's been so many years since I've used Crew. I'm actually considering putting a unit of Crew back on the table.
Yeah, because they're not just going to get wrapped and die. Like, they're going to get charged and get blown up, and sure, the enemy's close, but now they're just in killing range. Like, so that's what I appreciate, is that they're upping the tempo and removing those stalemates, essentially. So that's a change I think is very positive.
Yeah, I definitely agree on it being a positive change. Sure. Yeah, that's that covers my. Yeah, that covers all of that. Cool. So let's just kind of talk about some of the the mechanical changes that aren't really phase specific terrain.
Hold on, did you want to get to morale test first?
Let's talk about morale. I'm sorry. Let's talk about morale.
And morale's the last phase, man.
Morale is the last phase, and I almost skipped it because I don't play armies that care about morale.
Well, I do, and I know other people do as well.
Okay.
So morale hasn't changed. Let me scratch that. Morale has changed quite a bit. I mean, you still if you've taken any casualties, you still roll a d6 and add the number of casualties that you had and check it against your morale, your leadership or whatever. Mm-hmm. But instead of losing X models, you lose 1 model, and then roll a dice for each guy that is in the squad, and on a 1, the guy flees. If the squad is under half strength, a 1 or a 2 guy flees. And if you're rolling morale, an unmodified 1 is always a success, so nobody runs.
Yeah.
Have insane bravery.
Again, literally every change is encouraging you to actually kill your opponent or to actually do what you logically would be doing. It's how often did I look at my opponent's command points, oh, he has 1 command point left. He's not auto-passing morale. So, alright, I'm going to kill 17 cultists. Now, statistically, the other 13 cultists are going to run away and nothing will stop that. I no longer need to worry about this unit.
Yeah, I would do the same thing with Plague Bearers, Orcs. You man orc unit, you kill 15, they're all gone. No?
Yeah. Yep.
But
very cool.
It's a little bit different. Yeah, it's neat. Jimmy?
Oh, sorry. At what point do you check for the whole thing that we were talking about earlier in the movement phase?
The coherency check is going to be after you've done all morale. So it's
it's in the morale phase and afterward.
So if you lose 1 model, it's during the morale phase after you have rolled any leadership checks and pulled any casualties from the leadership checks.
Okay.
So you're not going to get double hit there.
And then this is where you would do those little plays where, I've got 6 guys, or I had 10-man units, 4 dudes died, I'm in close combat and they've wrapped one of my guys.
Mm-hmm.
Morale test, you can just pick up they've wrapped 2 guys. Let's say they wrapped 2 guys. You can take away 1 person that was linking those 2 with the rest of the squad, and now they're gone. And now you no longer have anybody to wrap.
Yeah. And that's going to, once you've done it a couple times, it'll become second nature. It'll be hard to just accidentally lose the squad. Although, to be honest, I'm probably going to just be running 6 and less model units for a while, just to take advantage of the current rule set. But, if you're in that situation, you can intentionally do it, but you're probably not going to just accidentally lose all your models. And, again, worst case scenario, you lose models until you're a 5 model unit, and then the old coherency rules kick in, and then it's just not a big deal anymore. Yeah. So like again, like 10 guardsmen. Let's say you accidentally mess up, you pull 1 casualty, upset your coherency. Well, all right, you still finish the rest of the turn. See if they kill anyone else. See if you fail that morale check. Whoever runs away. Then you pull down to 5. So, like, honestly, if they kill 4 guardsmen and you're down to a 6-man that's out of coherency, you're probably losing morale and losing 1 model like anyway. Then you're down to 5. It doesn't matter. Like on 10 units, that coherency is still not going to be a huge deal. You just have to be careful. And if it's on like a valuable 10 unit, like Alaris Terminators, you want to be careful. If it's 10 guardsmen, or fine. If it's 10 Shining Spears, be very careful.
So yeah, there's that.
All that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's the only real change with it. It's I guess to make morale more important, because back in the day you either ignored it or you lost your entire squad. It was very swingy. Now it's you don't ignore it and you can still lose guys, but not to the degree that you used to lose guys. And this is completely.
Okay. It's interesting because like. Okay, so like if you've got like 30 cultists and you lose 5 models, and like you can look at that and say, all right, I'm just gonna lose like a couple more, but like it's not gonna be a big deal. Now it'll actually hurt more because you're gonna lose 1 when you fail the morale check, then you have 24 models left, and then you roll 24 dice. Every one is the last model.
True.
And like it could spike. But also if you're a 30 cultist unit and you lose 15 models, it's no longer gonna hurt nearly as bad. So, like, it's going to do something more often, but it's never going to be as crippling as before unless you roll really bad multiple times in a row. Now, I have done that. I had 10 guardsmen. They killed 6. I failed a morale check. 1 ran away. I then dropped 3 1s and 2s on the morale check, and the whole unit left.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
like,
I've got a question about guardsmen and morale. Commissars... They're going to be different, aren't they? Because, like, right now, you roll to see if you fail. If you do, the commissar shoots a guy, and then you roll the test again.
I imagine that commissars are going to change. Just like that has to be like a day 1 FAQ kind of thing. Yeah. Like right now, commissars are pretty darn useless right now.
Yeah.
Like, I could definitely see them getting a day 1 change. Right now, there isn't much reason to take them.
Right on. Okay, that was the only thing.
So, yeah, I'm sure that's one of the things that they're going to have to address. But it also introduces more instances for morale to get weird. So, like, right now, basically, if you're an anti-morale army like Night Lords, I know Will loves Night Lords, you're just an aura of -1 leadership. That's the only thing you've got. What could happen is maybe Night Lords become add 1 to the roll to see if additional models run away. So... if they fail morale checks like normal, and then there's an ability where now on a 1 or 2 you run away, or if you're below 50% on a 1, 2, or 3 you run away, there will be more mechanics to interact with morale and more diversity.
Looking forward to it personally, because
I don't know how they're going to do it, but they will do it, and I'm sure it will only be more interesting, not less.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that covers morale and
morale. I think we're just you want to just talk about... Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing for morale. Yeah. It's a small change that will not matter much.
What is
the Fearless stratagem is now once per game.
Oh, yeah. It's not insane. Is it called Insane Bravery? Oh, yeah.
I think it's called Insane Bravery. So only once per game. Like, that's not like a catastrophic change. Just kind of... How often did we use it twice in a game, right?
If you were a Horde player, maybe.
Like, it wasn't... If you're like a big Horde player, but I don't expect there to be too many big Horde players anyway. So like it's a change. Yeah. It's not like a backbreaking one. I don't feel bad about it, but just keep that in mind. You know, if you have to use it early, be careful because you're not getting it back.
Yeah, it's gone.
And I think more so than like practically using it twice is more the threat of using it. Like, okay, like, I have to finish this squad on the objective because they could auto-pass them and then they'll hold more than me. So I'll just kill them anyway, now there's no reason to do the strat.
Yeah.
If you lose that advantage, it kind of disincentivizes people from doing it. but also at the same time, they could just roll out at 1 at any point, and then, well, they just auto-passed anyway, they were no longer a guaranteed death. So like, even if you kill 14 out of 15 models, that one survivor could roll a 1. And if you like just absolutely need them to not be there, you have to commit to killing them anyway. Like they could die from morale, but you can no longer count on them running ever.
Yeah. So there's that, man. I guess since we're talking about stratagems, there's one last core stratagem that we have not covered.
Okay.
It's command reroll.
Reroll.
Yeah, the reroll's different now. The reroll can no longer be used by
anything.
Yeah, now the command reroll can only be used to reroll a hit roll, a wound roll, a damage roll, a saving throw, advanced roll, a charge roll, a psychic test, and a deny the witch test. So the reason why I kind of put
can it be used on a number of shots or only a damage roll?
Let's see if you have roll the dice. Oh yeah. You can also use it to determine the number of attacks made by a weapon. That's right. You that is also one of them. And obviously you can reroll a test for a saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
The big changes are the psychic test, the charge roll, and the deny the witch.
All that becomes reroll both dice.
Yep. So you can't just come out of deep strike, roll a 6 and a 1, and then reroll the 1. Can't do that anymore.
Reroll the whole thing. It's a big change. So like this sounds logical. Like, yeah, what else was I doing? Until you think about it, so many things kind of counted on that CPU reroll. Master of Snares. Goleman stands back up on a 4-up.
Savior
Protocols. Anything like the psychic powers that deny a witch, or I'm sorry, the stratagems that deny a witch on a 4+. Can't reroll that. So now it becomes, so like it used to be, am I going to spend 1 or 2 CP for a 75% chance? Usually yes. Am I going to spend 1 CP for just a 50%? Ew.
Yeah, maybe not.
Goleman is dead half the time. Celestine will roll that 1 and stay down. 1 out of 6 times you roll a 1 on Vec, there's no going back.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt.
It's a pretty big change. Pretty interesting change.
I think this literally removes Tyrannus Knights from the meta, like from the game. Not that Tyrannus Knights were like super powered anyway. Like no one's taking Tyrannus Knights anymore.
Yeah.
Straight up,
like you can't reroll whether or not your vehicle explodes either. If you have a repulsor blowing up in your lines, like enjoy the D6 mortals, baby.
D6 mortals, impulsors, like all of those D6 mortal wounded vehicles, they're just like, yeah, that's a big change, and people are going to be like, oh, that just means people are going to complain about dice a lot more for a little bit until they get used to it. Because it's no longer like, oh, I only lost because I exploded my impulsor while I was next to 6 Space Marine characters. Like before, you just be like, yeah, I'm just not going to double 6 and I'll be fine. And sure, it felt really bad when it happened and then people would complain about it. Now it's just don't put anything valuable near any vehicles if they can't afford to take D3 mortal wounds. Okay, if one Lehman Russ takes D3 mortal wounds from another Lehman Russ, I'm sad, but it's probably not the end of the world.
Yeah. Also, you know, heroic sacrifice is more of a gamble now too.
You can what?
The knight's stratagem, heroic sacrifice. Is that what it's called?
No.
That's what it's called, right?
That is the one where you exploded on a 4-up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, you can't re-roll positive vehicle explosions. So if you happen hellhounds that explode on a 4-up, well, they just explode on a 4-up now.
Yeah.
So it is overall a big change. You have less of a safety net. Plan ahead is what that means. And don't count on things and use them more as deterrents. Like you can no longer really rely on Agent's Effect ever in a game-winning scenario, but you can still use the threat of it. So for example, if I have a strat to advance and charge that I spend it in the charge phase, if they have Agents of Vec, that stratagem just doesn't exist, right?
Right.
I'm never advancing my Repentia unit to right up into the Dark Eldar face, and then just like, oh, well, are you going to let me spend this command point?
So now you have to think more. You have to kind of, how am I going to get these guys here without relying on a stratagem that just turned off?
Vex still has value there. Vex still has a lot of value there. But now it's no longer like I have to Vex this stratagem or I'm going to lose the game. So like, for example, if I was putting my entire game plan on I'm going to wrap one unit with all my aberrants, and it's going to try to desperate breakout, and I'm going to spend Vex, and I'm going to stop them from doing the desperate breakout, and that's how I'm going to survive. If I just roll a 1, we're done here.
Yeah, plan's over, and then things get picked up.
Good talk. Glad we played this game. I am toast. I am fried and done. Like, just mail them in. Like, so you can no longer use it as a reliable thing, but you can still use it as a threat. Master of Snares was more useful as a threat than in practice, honestly. It's like Tau players would just do anything to keep the Snare Captain away from their Riptides.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anything, nothing in the world. The life of your wife is not as important as keeping the Snare Captain away from your Riptides. That's probably an exaggeration.
Oh no, it's totally true, man. That one
there we go.
Against me, I never wanted to play against that ever again. The one time you used it on me, I was like, yeah, no, this is not good.
That's the worst. So like that. Those kind of things, like they're not useless. You are going to need to be more reliable in your planning, and just acknowledge before you execute that it might not work, and then don't act butthurt when it doesn't work. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna roll. There's gonna be a point where someone does a strat. I'm like, man, I really don't want this to happen. I'm gonna spend plan generations to make it. I'm gonna roll that 1. I'm gonna be like, well, sucks to suck.
Sucks to suck.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Would you be interested in traversing the terrain rules?
Oh my god.
Womp womp.
Let's do a little checking real quick. Jimmy and Dan, how you guys doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
Yeah. The terrain discussion is enough to be an episode on its own.
Okay.
Because there's a lot.
I would say the same thing for the missions too. The missions have changed in a huge fundamental way.
Yeah. Well, I think actually that we probably shouldn't talk about missions.
Yeah.
Because we have Eternal War missions from the main rulebook that have been leaked. But the tournament book has not been leaked, and I think that would in itself warrant its own discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that you score objectives in your command phase is probably not going to change. Same thing with like the terrain, not the terrain. Sorry, the objective markers. They now have a set size. You measure from the edges of them. Like, I don't think those things are going to change. I'm sure match play and the match play missions are going to be probably fairly different from the rulebook missions.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, just the way that the game has moved. The more you need to hold ground. It's not really. You don't have to obliterate your opponent on the first turn. And the way that things are scored, and the way that, like, I know that there's like paragraphs of what the secondary missions are, like that's a huge, like the core part of the game when it comes to actually winning has changed so much that I'm sure that could be like an episode. I'm sure that could be like 3 episodes.
Yeah. I think it probably will be its own episode, so we'll wait till we have the final ones just because we definitely could do it now, but then we're going to do another one anyway once we get the real rules.
Right.
Like, we'll be patient. But, certainly worth playing them now if you're listening to this in real time, where it's worth playing the missions we have now until we get the new ones, because it'll just get you in the mindset. But we'll probably do the deep dive discussion once we've got a little bit more concrete.
Yeah. I do think just an interesting, like 5-10 minutes we could take is just discussing, and we don't have points yet either, but like what armies we think could be good. Like, obviously,
right
Space Marines, AdMech are 2 that just probably are going to be good. But that's something I'm interested about.
Right on. I mean, do you want to take the helm of this, or do you want to have Lennon rattle off a couple since he's played a couple of games?
Yeah. So I'll talk some just because I know Lennon was just saying it there, but I think Death Guard. Inherently durable, good firepower, getting to outflank units, that's just another thing you get. Like, there's nothing negative about that. then Mortarion, he's got the sniper that can literally just like, if you put a unit down badly, Mortarion can remove a model and eliminate half of that from coherency rules.
I love that.
So like
Such
that's
a cool thing that he
yeah.
can do.
So that's like, and I don't know how Primarchs are going to be. Is it 18 or less wounds, or 18 or more wounds for the obscuring rule?
18 or more wounds.
So Mortarion can't be obscured.
Yeah.
That makes
18
sense.
or more means you can't.
Yeah.
Mortarion is going to be shot. He's
Yeah.
on the board. Magnus Mortarion Knights, those are all getting shot.
Yeah, but
I actually think
Mortarion is designed to be shot anyway. Like, that's kind of like, that means other things aren't getting shot, and getting your troops into position with Death Guard seems like super important.
Or you can just outflank him, have him come on the table, cast all the buffs on him now that he hasn't been shot at, and then
If you're willing
tear your opponent
to
to remove him.
turn bottom, you can outflank him, which is certainly viable.
Yeah, it's the Battle for the Peak list. Those types of lists, I think, are going to be really popular, where you can null deploy, keep everything off the table you need to through various means, and then come all in when you're ready for it.
Absolutely. If you can make sure that you're not losing ground up until that point, you've got a solid anchor, which, by the way, Death Guard makes some really solid anchors.
Yeah. Plague Marines are kind of durable. Light Lord Terminators kind of durable.
Plague Marines were not kind of durable, but now they are. We haven't done a deep dive Death Guard episode. Maybe once Dan gets some games in again, and actually if he gets some games in with Death Guard, maybe we'll do that in a future episode. But suffice to say, extremely durable units are a very good way to play progressive missions where you have to survive a turn.
Yeah. If you want to send me a list, Lennon, and when I go play Will sometime in the next week or so, I'll run that Death Guard list.
Okay. Yeah, I'm playing against Death Guard tomorrow, so I'll play it against some versions. I'm playing against a new version, like the Possessed version. I'll let you know which one we kind of think did better, and you can test that out, and we'll be able to talk about that in the next episode.
Sweet. Cool.
Okay, so
Go ahead, Lennon.
Yeah, so those are the armies. Sisters of Battle, very reliable, very safe, because you're not going to just flub a charge that you declare too far. They are relatively durable. They're good at trading. So there's going to be two design philosophies on these new primary missions. It's either I'm going to get on my objectives and you can't shift me off, or I'm going to go poke you off of yours every time to make sure and I'll lose whatever unit goes out and does that, to make sure that you don't get a big primary lead on me. So Guardsmen with move, great example of that. Harlequins, Eldar with MSU Dire Avengers with Azermen. Very annoying to kill all of that, but also it's not, one unit is not surviving. If you put one 10-man Guardsman squad on an objective, you're not going to be on that objective by the time it's your next turn. But if your opponent, doesn't have a ton of OBSEC, and you can just keep shooting holes, shooting them off objectives, and then going and tagging with Guardsmen. Oh, I'm OBSEC. You don't get it in your command phase. That means you don't get these points for the primary. All right, you killed them. Now you put another unit on. Try again. Oh, look, more Guardsmen. There's going to be multiple ways to approach these missions. Death Guard is seeing best at one aspect of it. Admech another one. Those are the two armies that we think are set up to be most powerful. But also Space Marines and Necrons are about to get new rules and new units. We don't know everything about that yet. So there is the opportunity for those armies to be very gnarly as well.
Yeah. I still think, I know, because I talk to Dan Monsalve all the time, I think Eldar is still going to be really strong. It's just going to be different. They might not be very good at holding objectives, although they're still, is that argument, well, Fire Avengers with Azermen might be good, or you can take a bit of Harlequins and use those to hold your objectives. Things that don't really care about the AP of your opponent's army are probably going to be good. They still have the best unit to touch things in the game in Shining Spears. Shining Spears are so fucking good. You can get from one end of the board to the other and touch a bunch of stuff, and even if it's tanks that are shooting at them, they still get the invul save because they get invul saves against shooting attacks.
Yeah,
Still
so
shut down the entire army with that.
I actually think Shining Spears are not a good unit anymore.
Really?
I think the coherency rules on how you can't string them out anymore, and they can't fall back and shoot. They've lost a lot of their versatility. I think Skyweaver, they fly. Yeah, you have to spend 50 points, but
right.
it's hard to do. I think Harlequin jet bikes are much better. Harlequins naturally fall back and shoot because of their laughing at something. I don't know.
Right.
All Harlequins fall back to shoot. All Harlequins fall back to charge.
Right on.
It's like Segrex Jest or something like that.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, I won't disagree with that.
Before it was like 9 Spears versus 6 Skyweavers. 6 Skyweavers now doesn't worry about casualties from coherency. It can chain out however it wants legally, because the second 6 models loses 1 casualty, it's now a 5-person unit.
Right.
You're safe. So you can't illegally move, so you're never going to accidentally kill a Skyweaver. You could accidentally lose some Spears. Spears will feel more restricted by that movement.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. I don't know. Time will tell. I know all their vehicles have got huge boost. Right, yeah, no, I get that. But I mean, like, all they have the Wraith units that for durable objective holders and good countercharge units. Their vehicles have gotten a huge buff with no more taking the moving and shooting heavy penalty. So, like, you can outflank a bunch of Warwalkers, and they can just light up stuff and then zip around and what have you. I mean, they've got play. I think they're going to be really good.
Eldar will still be very good. Shining Spears probably will not be a bad unit. I just think top tier competitive, I would rather have the Skyweavers.
Right.
MSU builds in general, anyone that can do fast MSU is going to be in a good spot. Guard with like 100 infantry and Scions will probably be pretty competitive. Tau MSU drones. Orcs are tricky. I think orcs are going to have to completely redesign how they approach the game competitively, because so much of that was with big hordes. I think hordes are just toast. I think they're dead. I think they're gone. However, I don't think orcs are dead, because they have so many different vehicles and like burn Obamas and mech guns, things that are getting buffs here, that they're just going to have to. The orc list is going to change significantly. I think Tyranids are.
Fun thing is you don't have to take like 120 dudes to get all of the command points that you're wanting, because we all start with a set command point. So you can take like your obligatory troops, keep them small, or make some of them large and some of them not, and then invest your points into shit that kills stuff or is more durable. Yeah. So like, yeah. Right. I don't think orcs are dead in the water. Yeah, they did.
And I know he doesn't like his hordes, so like this might be a good time for him to play orcs.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to paint 120 Gretchen. You can actually use. Like, I actually think the buggies might be really good. Like, even better now.
That's honestly what I was looking at. What I'm excited for is mech orcs. Are some of my favorite styled models. So I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go, especially like I don't know if ignoring heavy penalty applies to the infantry inside the vehicles or what.
When something's inside of a vehicle, if it moves, it counts as moved.
Okay. But there's like, I know flash jits were getting a lot of play. Tank bustas, Ludas, they'll probably still see some play, but like battle wagons, the Killicans, assuming they stay cheap, seem really fun. Again, the buggies, I've got to look at which ones had heavy weapons, but ignoring heavy penalty now, when you're already like stuck at hitting, like just getting rid of that modifier makes you slightly more reliable. Anytime you can get reliability into orcs, because they're just inherently so inexpensive, has me really excited. So like, the more reliable orc vehicles get, the better. And I also love the idea of burn Obamas with flying Edbutt. So like, making them better is just good.
Yeah. So I think the exciting part is almost every army feels like it's going to have something viable. Genestealer Cult can go like a very mech heavy list with like 9 Ridge Runners and then Goliath trucks, which no longer take a heavy penalty. And then that's more important for like early board control. And then you've got a couple reserve units to keep the opponent honest. there feels like there's going to be a lot of different viable lists early edition, and that is very exciting to me. Really, I think that before points costs, knights feel like the only army without like something that I like.
Yeah, so
knights seem like they're struggling here, but
the conversation is, tanks are better, so everybody's gonna be bringing anti-tank stuff, and the missions want you to hold objectives and kill less. So, yeah, I get it. Knights are fast enough to where they can at least sit on the objective and attempt to take shots while giving them out, and then you take a bunch of kill secondaries like attrition or something along those lines to where you can keep your secondary continuously going, because you're probably going to be there's going to be one niche ones where they're going to be able to race on those, and then try to get an early lead, because I know we don't need to go too much into the missions, but you cap out on how many victory points you get. If they're able to hold many and hold more, if that's like the standard thing in all the match play missions, if they're able to do that for 3 turns, and they max it out and they don't have to stay on objectives anymore. So there's ways to play them. I mean, they're in a bad spot now, but they're not unplayable.
Yeah, nothing feels unplayable. Knights just feel like they kind of have the most uphill to climb. But even then, we'll see when we get them on the table. When we get those points, maybe Knights don't increase in points quite as much as other armies, because Knights felt like they were at a disadvantage end of 8th. Maybe they keep that in mind and all right, none of these rules really benefit them. Let's just not change Knights points, and we'll just change everything else. Maybe that's enough, or maybe we change Knights a little bit less. Maybe that's enough to keep them viable. There's a lot of options here. I'm not abandoning Knights initially. Just almost everything feels viable. Literally almost every army. Maybe not every build, maybe not every play style, but I can't think of a faction that I'm just completely down on. Tyranids are not in a great spot, but also points could help their monsters out so much, and I'm hoping that they will. I'm optimistic on that one. And then that's all we need, and then we're in a good spot.
And this is all taking into account things before we start getting codexes. New codexes are going to change things fundamentally. I really do hope that they take an extra look at Tyranids and do something to fix them, because they might not be as bad as they were saying they are, but they're not great.
They're definitely not.
So don't let their monsters hit on 4s. It's so stupid.
Well, we complain about Tyranids often here. I won't go too deep into that.
I know.
Hopefully they get a little bit of love.
I agree.
I think that, does that get all of the so without going into missions, maybe we do missions and terrain on one day, because there's so many things
to
cover. Let me just think.
That's probably a good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah, probably good stopping point. I think we've got plenty of content. I'm sure that there's a lot more we could get into, minutia. But if we let it sit there, maybe we get some feedback from the listeners, things we missed, things they want us to go into deeper. Really, if we get listener feedback, we know exactly where to go, and then we can also plan the next episode to be, like you said, missions and terrain. And maybe we've got more releases mission-wise, especially for that conversation. So,
and hopefully so. Hopefully we get some points in soon as well. Once we've got that complete picture, we start playing 9th edition for real. Oh, it's going to be exciting times. Exciting times, my friends.
Yeah, I'm ready for it.
I'm super happy. All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Certainly we took a little bit of a hiatus there. That transition from 8th to 9th, but I think we are back on track. Where I'm excited. Hoping all you guys are excited as well. I'm really just looking forward to everything that we think is coming with 9th edition, and I think it's going to be great for the game. Obviously, we're still in the Rona times. Wear your masks, U.S. viewers. Wear your masks, please. I want to go to tournaments again. So if you're in Europe, go ahead, laugh at me and tell me about how your country is having tournaments next month, because they're smarter than your average American. But hopefully everyone is staying safe out there. Thank you so much for listening to us. And leave any feedback you've got. We'll try to get back onto a regular schedule now. I think now's a good time for it. And we're looking forward to 9th edition.
Yeah. See y'all later, guys.
Let's give Will a thank you for joining us. Will's not one of the regular co-hosts, so really appreciate you taking the time to come hang out with us and talk to 9th edition. Certainly, we'll make sure we get you back on in the future.
Yeah, man. I love talking 40k with my friends.
Yeah,
thanks for bailing me and Jimmy out because we need a bit.
Okay, no problem.
All right, guys.
All right. See ya.
Bye.